Start. And the council meeting is about to start. I'd just like to remind everyone that this meeting is being recorded for broadcast purposes, and everyone should be mindful in terms of the language that they use. Thank you.
I'll now open the extraordinary council meeting for the 1st of May 2022 for the Muswellbrook Shire Council at 4 p.m. and ask for acknowledgement of country from Councillor Ian Douglas.
Yama, I would like to acknowledge the Wanneroo people, the traditional custodians of the land we meet on tonight. I pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging, for they hold the memories, the traditions and the culture of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people across the nation. We have been elected by our community to deliver, as our elders have on our land have done in the past. I would also like to recognise the strong ongoing connection of First Nations people of the lands and waters where we do our work and their commitment to care for country.
Thank you, Councillor Douglas. The civic prayer, Councillor Louise Dunn.
Almighty God, from whom comes every good and perfect gift, we give you thanks for the blessings you bestow upon us in this Shire. Grant to those who hold office in this council the spirit of justice and truth, of wisdom and charity, that mindful of our responsibility and of the needs of those we serve, we may promote the true welfare of your people. Exercise wisely and faithfully the authority committed to us and advance the common good through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Now I'll ask everyone who's seated. Councillor.
Oh, is that one?
Apologies and leave of absence. Do we have any apologies? We do have one from Councillor Ian Barry. She was be here today. We'll have someone to. Once you second it, moved by Councillor. Your second by Councillor Harden. We also have a recommendation for a visual link for councillors to attend via a visual link, which is Councillor Drayton and Councillor Bowditch. Do I have someone to do that? Councillor Marshall, Councillor Woodruff. Which brings us to public disclosures of the pecuniary and non-pecuniary interest. Okay, no disclosures of pecuniary and non-pecuniary interest. Brings us to public participation. Two people speaking public participation. One person, sorry, Mr. Joseph Kaepernick and Mrs. Kaepernick. I also know item 8.1. If you would like to make your way to the lectern, we have about 3 minutes to speak. Here we are. Any time to go over, you can request an extension.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to allow us to address the council and make our case for the purchase of Part Lot 1 BP 59055 on Aberdeen Street in Muswellbrook. Due to not receiving or being able to obtain a copy of the report prepared for you by council, we are unable to ascertain what has been recommended. Therefore, we'd like to make a case for person today.
As you know, we have requested to purchase that portion of land and consolidate it with the lot that we currently own. This will increase our land size to be approximately 1,500 square metres. If you vote in our favour, when this application for subdivision and consolidation of land is prepared, we intend to include an application to construct a 3-bay garage port so that we can have storage for our camper trailer, box trailer, ride-on mower, etc. We originally approached council in 2013 with this proposal, and it was resolved that the general manager be authorised to arrange the sale or lease of the land and that the price be determined by an independent valuer. We understand that 9 years have passed since that original proposal was brought forward. And since then, we are aware that staff have shared concerns regarding the Hunter Beach project having an impact on the land that we wish to purchase. In response to this, I would like to draw council's attention to the original report that went to council in March 2014, which stated that council staff were consulted in relation to the impact of selling the land may have on possible changes to the road network and the development of the Coorolla wetlands. They have advised that provided the amount of land sold is limited to the area indicated, that the impacts of these proposals will be minimal. Given this statement and the fact that permission was given to enter negotiations previously without imposing a timeframe on those negotiations, and that we, the landholders, have not received any proposal or public consultation regarding your intentions for the wetlands beach project, we believe that the proposed sale will not have any impact. We would also like to draw your attention that as the adjacent land holders of the property, we have continued over several years to maintain that portion of the land with mowing, weed spraying, etc. This is due to numerous requests to council to maintain the property not being met or responded to. So we took it upon ourselves as contributing community members to maintain it for our and our neighbours' safety from snakes, venom, fire, etc., as well as to keep an aesthetically pleasing community. I believe we have made a reasonable offer and that would be beneficial to council, and encourage you to vote in support of the sale of the land. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. If you want to stay elected, just for a moment, do any councillors have any questions?
There's one probably. So is that all that land that's been made back up for? Back on?
We don't plan to buy it all, no.
Just a portion, about 649 square metres of that lot, which will make our back boundary go towards
Across the road.
across.
Yeah, so it's only your lot straight back.
Plus the triangle, it's shown, plus the triangle is shown on the map.
It's just, it's only the triangle shape that we want.
Okay. Any other questions, councillors? No problem. Thank you very much.
Thank
for your time. That now brings us to item 6.1, the notice of decision. A decision motion put in for the purpose that I'll leave chair for the councillor Becky to deputy mayor to chair this part of the meeting. Item 6.1, the notice of decision.
So now who's back up? Back up.
The 6.1 is made. Sorry, 6.1 notice of decision and promotion of extends the external operators to council existing motion. Somebody move the action. Seconded.
I'll second it. Councillor Woodruff moved it, councillor Scholes seconded it.
Actually requires two.
Councillor Drake's on mine, isn't it?
If that's for the decision motion to go in, sorry, just put it. That's the decision motion for moving the motion to the council.
That's to move the decision motion, which has just been moved and seconded. And I just wanted to check, do we have any councillors online? No.
So would anyone like to speak for the motion?
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, do you take questions first? Is that normal practice?
Is Christian should Yes.
Well, I put some questions in writing to the General Manager, if we could please have them responded to.
So we have, I have three questions that were put forward ahead of the meeting by Councillor McNeil. The first question was, can council use post-COVID trading figures to provide a best estimate of financial results for 12 months? We have had a look at our trading figures for May, from the 1st of May to the 31st of May, which resulted in 19,824. Using this revenue figure as an average for a month over a 12-month estimate provides a revenue of $240,000. The expenses, and we're using 2021-22 expenditure figures, which are approximately 288,000, including main rent for the facility. That equates to approximately a loss of $48,000. We do note that the Sunday trade, which has had 4 occasions only this year, has boosted revenue. We don't have a full necessarily anticipated amount for how much that will boost revenue. The second question from Councillor McNeil was, my interpretation of comments on social media suggested that for council to operate a like business to one that operates privately as its tenant represents a conflict of interest. Also, for council to be subsidising a business which competes with other like businesses creates an unfair trading environment. Staff opinion requested. The like for like comment is that this is a possibility through a tenanted arrangement. However, we can't guarantee that through a tenanted arrangement. Some private cafe owners do not wish to be restrained by certain council requirements, such as the current cafe provides. A private provider is primarily focused on operating to attract the highest profit possible. Council did choose to open the Gallery Cafe to ensure that the gallery and the cafe staff would work together to ensure that the cafe and gallery are open to each other. That's, for example, physically interconnected. You can enter the gallery either via the cafe and vice versa. Cafe staff currently back up gallery staff on weekends. The cafe supports gallery events on instruction. Cafe hours are determined by council, and future extension of the gallery will include support for the gallery shop to be run by cafe staff. The question about the private provider in terms of providing an unfair trading environment, council officers have commented that it's quite common for local government to run gallery cafes. There are at least 8 run by local government across New South Wales. The third question was, if the outcome is that the operation of the cafe goes out to tender, who and how are the terms and conditions determined? The tender will be managed like all other tender processes in line with council's procurement policy and supervised by the property department. Terms and conditions will be commercial and open to negotiation with whoever the successful tenderers are.
Thank you very much. I have one supplementary. Excuse me.
I wonder what supplementary I can't mention.
Supplementary to question 1, given that the projected return is quite a low figure, with the right terms, would you feel that there would be likely to be a number of people who'd be interested in tendering?
Look, I honestly can't say. It's really up to the, to the environment and the people who may be interested. And I really don't think. I think the Gallery Cafe has operated through the 2 years of COVID. I think that's been, difficult for all operators. The differentiating thing for the Gallery Cafe was, as it is owned by local government, was not open to government subsidy. So we had to carry itself, and it made a loss through those 2 years. The Gallery Cafe has never really been tested in terms of its opportunity to meet all its costs, which was what was expected of it, not necessarily to make a profit, but to support the operation of the gallery and eventually the cafe associated with the aquatic centre. That was the original intention.
Question, Madam Chair. How many tenderers did we get the last time we went out to tender for this service?
I understand that we had one tender.
Thank you.
Can I?
I request as well. You mentioned the expansion of the size of the cafe. How does that fit within a proposal if we build the extension for the benefit of a private operator? How does that fit within a business model or a proprietary model?
Well, through the Mayor, Councillor Scholes, the extension is to the gallery.
Yep, just asking.
And it's a concept only at this stage, and the detailed design would be informed by however the cafe is being run at the time, and that may very well change the nature of how the extension would be designed.
Yeah, my basic point is, therefore, the extension will be the benefit of the any potential tenderer or successful tenderer.
Possibly, and that would be if
That counts as cost.
if the cafe was extended. The cafe does not necessarily have to be
No,
extended.
no, just clarifying the issue. If it happens, the extension is paid for by council, and the operator of the council of the cafe gets the benefit thereof, because they get additional space.
Well, yeah, a point of clarification would be that the extension, which we sought funding for, is significantly for the gallery and may only be potentially for the gallery itself, and to include a retail component of the gallery to sell products like many galleries have.
Another question. How many previous businesses have failed in that particular location? And over that process, since that cafe's been there, what's the proportion of open time to close down because of those failures?
If through the chair, I would ask our Director of Property and Place to respond to that question.
I think there's been, when the councils had the cafe tenancy, there's been 2 tenants. Prior to going out to tender, we had a period of probably 18 months where we didn't have an operator. We went out once, we got no expressions of interest. We went out the second time and got one. There's been 2 lease arrangements and then 1 casual operator.
And how much the rent was?
It depended on the arrangement of the tenant. We had one commercial arrangement where it was renovated full for so many months, then 25%, 50%. That retailer didn't, or that the cafe provider didn't finish that arrangement, ended it early. Prior to that, it was around the 25,000 mark.
Got a question? Yes, Madam Chair.
No, you got one behind it.
Can I just ask the question of the original lease? How many years did that original lease go for that was claimed to be a failed business?
I'll just ask that question again through the Director.
It is confidential information shared with councils.
Just how many years was the business in operation is what I'd like to know.
Sure. Approximately 5 years.
Thank you.
I've got one other question. Oh, sorry, Councillor Murphy asking for it.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Just wondering if the General Manager could give us an explanation of where things are at this point in terms of the staff being notified and what will happen if this motion is successful or unsuccessful.
Yes, councillors, through the chair. Upon the decision being made at last week's meeting, which was made in open council, and that was given due consideration, and indeed the staff knew about the decision quite quickly, so they were formally consulted with. The hospitality coordinator is a permanent full-time council staff member. He was notified of the situation, and a normal procedure was then followed in line with the Local Government Award and the Local Government Act, which is my responsibility to ensure that that was complied with. He has been offered a redundancy, and the conditions of that redundancy are up to him and under negotiation with himself and myself. Upon him leaving that position, the cafe would be closed until the tender is successfully applied. So that would be the process. I hope that answers the question.
And if there's no successful tender, it remains closed.
Yes.
Can I just ask one more question? Main thing we've discussed today is the business case, or discussing around the business case for whether this cafe is there and how it operates. I want to point out that we voted on a rescission motion last week in public council when the business case was an item 1911 in the closed council. So this council basically voted on a motion without reviewing the business case. I find that not appropriate.
I dismiss that as an accusation, as an assumption, because it wasn't discussed in open council, but every councillor has their fiduciary requirements to read the whole content, and we had on that.
We had a motion to discuss and we didn't discuss it.
But they did have the content. You just said that they did not.
The questions tonight that will happen today weren't in the business paper. We did not have a chance to discuss the business case.
I acknowledge what you're saying, that we did not discuss the business case, but to say that the council didn't have the opportunity to read it before.
I didn't say read it. I said it didn't have a chance to discuss the business case.
But, sorry. Anyone speaking forward?
We've got that far yet, have we?
Are there any further questions?
Pardon?
Speak for the motion.
Again, as all the evidence that's provided today by council, I still uphold the decision to unilaterally decide to close the cafe is inappropriate and potentially the wrong decision. And we don't know whether it is the wrong decision because we've already closed it.
Can you speak against the motion?
I just want to acknowledge Dave and the staff that have turned up today for the meeting. And I know it's a hard decision. For us councillors, it's not about making a popular decision. It's about making the decisions based on the evidence and facts that are required for us. Not putting ourselves in a position to provide essential services, etc. If we are losing money from a service, and we have only just touched on the cafe, where the Splash Cafe was brought into the context just then, which would be a supplement side of things. We do have to think out of the box as councillors. We do, and this was one of those occasions. But this is not closing the Art Gallery Cafe that has been accused. The councillors have reiterated back to me on social media, it's not closing it completely, it's merely reducing the outgoings and providing financial stability for our community, and we're putting it out to tender. I hear what you've said about it's failed before. I believe with the right people running in place and the right tender process in place, that it will be just as successful moving forward if it is the business case. But like I said, I have faith with the right tender and the correct information being conveyed to the community as to what the process is. This will be a successful opportunity for someone to take on. So that.
No response? Glad you feel that way, Steve, and what do you base it upon?
Sorry.
Are there any other questions?
No, that's it.
Speakers against?
But I want to discuss with the LP community, we are affected by the community. And the 3 to 4 business owners, they running the cafe industry. They came in my shop, they asked me the one answer, I couldn't tell them the answers what they are. They said to me, one business having an unlimited fund, one business we having a limited fund. How we gonna be competing with this unlimited fund? They asked me answer, but I have no answer, but I give them to answer. Because definitely we are running a business and already in the industry we having a 6 to 7 cafe. They are running by the private business owner. And they telling to me how the council duties look after the community, look after the road. Why the council is involved in the commercial things, running the cafe. They need to look after the people for the street, for the roads, not running the commercial things. I can't give them this answer.
You can answer the question. No, that's a.
That's a response.
It's the answer to explain the public.
Did you feel you were asking a question?
No, just like the people, they came and, but I can't say anything.
Did you wish me to respond to your questions?
Just the one comment, just so we do. Darryl, it's got to be me next, mate. Do follow the meeting rule.
No.
And if I talk, it gives you a chance to talk. My one comment would be, as the general manager pointed out, it's not purely a commercial operation. It's actually a support facility for the gallery. It's not there as a commercial operation. It's not. It competes on product, but it doesn't compete on profit.
I don't.
No more speakers.
Another question?
Darryl.
Are you speaking against?
I'm speaking against.
No, you can't. No,
Sorry.
That's
Right, I'll
it.
be no, right.
Says, no further discussion, I will put the motion. So,
We're ready to.
the motion is it's all gone in front of you, so somebody like to make that motion?
Yeah, we've already moved it, seconded.
Sorry. So now we'll vote, those in favour of the motion. Raise your right hand. Those against the motion.
one's green.
Well, we can't actually see.
There he is.
Oh, it's on a car. Somehow that's.
Sorry, I'm about 2 minutes from out the back door if I can come in.
So we need to vote.
We're voting, Mark, sorry.
Righto.
And he's driving.
Can you get out of the car?
No. Can we see your hand, please, councillor Bowditch? Are you voting against the motion?
Can I hear the motion, please?
He should be doing our votes, so we shouldn't condone it.
Council seeks tenders of expressions of interest for the lease and management of the current.
Council seeks tenders of expressions of interest for the lease and management of the current gallery cafe by external operators to council's existing function. The rescission is, the motion is for this to be rescinded. The motion has been put. We have had or voted for, now we have a vote against. We have a show of hands.
It's against.
He's against, he said against.
Against, has it?
Huh? That word.
So, the motion is defeated, so 4,
And how many against?
6.
6 against, and I declare the motion of yes. And I'll leave it.
Can I get someone to open the door for me and I can come in?
No,
I think everyone referred the town along for public participation and we'll have a summary afterwards. I'll now have a motion to go into closed council. Someone would like to move?
I'll move that.
Councillor Marshall and Councillor Council, public participants, leave or the closed council, or we're going back in afterwards. The result in the closed council meeting.
no. No place to be out, mate. Just so don't confuse yourself. Just get your home.
It's me too.
Oh, that's what, sorry.
Right, councillors,
No, it's not just-